I quit my job to bet on myself. And somewhere along the way, I started waiting to be chosen. Whether you are a business owner, creative, or an entrepreneur, or just someone who is building something really meaningful and hoping that someone else will notice or see you or validate you. Spoiler alert, nobody is coming. And that realization, while painful, it might be the most liberating thing for you. We always begin with gratitude, so I want to thank you for being here and let you know that I am so very honored to have your energy and your presence here in this space. Peace. I am LA, licensed therapist, holistic wellness coach and guide, and the creator of this channel, Reconnect with You. I want to first share with you that I am really honored and excited about the fact that this video is in honor of my upcoming 3-year anniversary of being self-employed full-time. And this video is a really honest reflection for you just about different parts of my journey where I have noticed external validation, what that taught me, and how I have been able to overcome and rise above that and choose myself instead. The first thing I want to talk to you about is when I quit my job. And before I forget, I want to share with you that the full article connected to this video is available now, where I go into a lot more detail about my last day at my former job. And I'm going to make sure I link that down below. But I remember that day very vividly. I remember what I wore that day. I remember the song I listened to on the ride or on my way into work, into my office for the last day, the last time. And I remember too what it was like for me leaving out of my office that day. And I remember really believing in myself, having this really strong belief in myself. And what I did was a radical act of self-trust. And I say that because I had a partial plan, but I could not see the full path ahead, meaning that I didn't know how things were going to really work out. I did have my business up and running at the time, which I was working part-time when I was at my full-time job, but I didn't really have a well thought out plan. Yet I still knew that I was making the best decision for me, for my wellness and my well-being. And I remember that I started somewhere along the way to seek external validation, even though on this day that I had quit my job and just knew that I was going to be okay and everything was going to work out and that I would figure things out. I started to look outside of myself for that validation and for someone to see me and my work and my business as credible. And this came in many forms. I want to share with you a couple of them. And I go into more detail about this in the full article. So again, that is linked down below. But as a licensed therapist, I felt like at the time, one of the most coveted opportunities was to partner with or be featured on the Therapy for Black Girls podcast. And at the time, I had been connected to them. I was listed on their website or featured on their website as one of their providers, one of the mental health professionals, where folks who were looking for a therapy provider could go and find me and learn more about me and my services. And they had a podcast at the time, and they still have this podcast. And I had listened to this podcast several times, so many different episodes, and had also shared it with some of my clients. And I wanted to be on the podcast, and not just because I felt it would bring me fame or success or that folks would see me as credible, but I really saw alignment there. And in the back of my mind, I did feel like, well, if I could just be affiliated with Therapy for Black Girls, then, my business is going to take off. The opportunities are going to come in. The money's going to come in. Well, that didn't happen. And that didn't happen, I reached out to them or submitted my form to be featured on the podcast. I believe I followed up as well and never heard back. And I am also thinking about, and this is a really, really big one, I am also thinking about how back in December, I wrote an article that was very specifically tailored to a well-known publication. And I worked really hard on this article. It took me, I want to say, over a month to just bring it all together with the editing and making sure it was polished. Also doing research to look at the types of articles that were on this platform. And I submitted this article the day before my birthday. And I was so excited, so proud of myself. And I never heard back from them. And I waited a couple of months because that's the research that I found in terms of when you should follow up. It said give them a couple of months. I followed up with them in a couple of months. Still hadn't heard back. I think I followed up maybe another month after that. Still hadn't heard back. And what I decided was, okay, it's been, I think at this point it had been maybe 6 months. And I said, okay, I'm going to publish this article myself. And it was very well received. And I was just really proud of myself, because what ended up shifting for me is that I decided that I can create opportunities for myself, that I don't have to wait for a particular brand or platform or podcast or whatever the case to come along and say, I see you, or to partner with me so that I can be seen as credible. And what I realized in kind of looking back in hindsight and reflecting, that I was still waiting to be chosen, even though my act of leaving my job was me choosing myself in action. I was still looking outside of myself and waiting to be chosen. And that is why I'm coming to you with the message that nobody is coming to save you, even in business. And I know I've talked about that previously here before, because it is, I think it's a mantra. I think it is a kind reminder, and it's something that I try to live my life by. When I've told more just about my background and my story and what brought me to doing this work and supporting folks with having a really enduring and loving and accepting relationship with themselves, knowing themselves very intimately, and always coming back to themselves, being able to have the strategies and the tools and the wisdom to navigate their inner environment. It's all because of where my journey has taken me and the many experiences that I've had where I was looking outside of myself for someone to come and save me, for someone to love me, for someone to validate me. And this pattern had also shown up in my business. And when I think about where the shift came for me, I realized and want to share with you that self-trust, it has to come first. Everything that you do has to be built on a deep inner knowing that you have with yourself, and your belief in yourself and what it is that you offer and bring to the world, no matter what it is that you're doing. And I decided that it didn't feel good to me to be waiting around for somebody else to swoop in and partner with me or collaborate with me. And I want to clarify that I am very open to aligned collaborations and partnerships, but I don't think they should come from a place of desperation or from a place of, well, I feel like I need to work with you in order to be successful or to make more money or to receive the wealth or the fame or the recognition that I feel like I need and deserve. And that's where the shift came in for me. So again, nobody's coming to save you, even in business. And I think that self-trust is what's really supported me in being able to kind of come back to myself, remember my own power, and also to share this message with you. And I think that realization has been painful and disappointing, I think, because I talk so much in my personal life about nobody's coming to save you. I've given this message to clients, to loved ones. And so to see this pattern seep into my business, it was really disappointing for me, and something that I had to sit with and forgive myself with. And after I did that, I wanted to better understand, where did this come from? And also, what can I do about it? What is the thing that may need to shift moving forward in terms of how I view collaborations and partnerships? It's been really empowering, that shift, because I have found myself creating more. I have also found myself in just being more confident in who I am, what it is that I have to offer. And I also want to share another message of encouragement with you, that you have to know that you're the one long before anybody else comes along and tells you that. So if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't see yourself as confident, if you don't believe in the value that you provide, whether it is in your personality or personally or in your work, then that means that you are looking for someone else to come along and save you and to validate you. And so I want to say that again, you have to believe in yourself long before anybody else comes along and believes in you. And that's the important piece. And I think the main takeaway of this message, again, if you want to read the more full story where I go into detail, there's actually another example that I give in the article. And the other two that I mentioned today, I go into a lot more detail in the article. And what I really had fun with in the article is talking about my last day of work and what that was like. I go into a lot more detail there. And it's actually my longest article to date, but it is also my richest. So I'll make sure that I include that down below. I end each one of my videos with a prompt for journaling or reflection. And the prompt for today's video is, what would it look like for you to choose yourself instead? What is one small step that you can take right now, today, tomorrow, to choose yourself? For me, it was deciding I'm not going to wait for this platform to publish or accept my article. I'm going to publish it myself. What might that look like for you? Well, that is all that I have for y'all for today. I look forward to connecting with y'all again soon. But in the meantime, reconnect with you. Peace, y'all.